The nigga's happy. There's a difference.
You don't understand whether he's happy or not. It's not. What do you recommend? So she recommended
For even means, but it really with crack cocaine in it.
No bullshit. She wasn't ready. This shit called both of us off guard. Shit in the kitchen. He was on the way to his room. That nigga never even made it out the hallway. For the first 2 hours, I was like, this shit. I'm getting shit done. I'm like, this is wonderful. 3 hours.
3 hours, you had to go in there and check on the nigga.
3 hours, you got to come check on the nigga. 3 hours.
What you doing? What you up to? What you up to?
Nigga, what you doing? I'm being smart ass. I'm being good like you want it, daddy. Okay, touche, my nigga.
Touche, my nigga, touche.
This one fucked me up. I was like, you've been sitting there for 3 hours. What are you thinking about? That nigga said,
Running. Been sitting there for 3 hours. What are you thinking about? Running? Excuse the fuck out of you?
So I waited all the way till I came down. We looked at the story, and it's still fucking there. The USDA had approved the sale of now every that about you a raggedy motherfucker with me. You gonna think it's all because the big shit and nothing fucking happened. You these motherfuckers, you gonna be Americans. Okay, these motherfuckers starving in other countries that we could have gave the goddamn retarded clone me to first to see if that was gonna work out. They don't give a fuck. They us first, motherfuckers. And some of you same niggas gonna be eating the shit out that goddamn. So the McDonald's got the McRoll combo for 19 cents. Had 11 big ass Big Macs in it. It was wonderful. That's it. That's what I got. Go ahead. Go ahead. Feed the baby the retarded ass phone. And see what the fuck happens. You're gonna be wondering why your daughter's 4 years old, weighs 611 pounds, got a little hole coming out of her motherfucking brain, and you do her alphabet correctly. Just this motherfucker ain't fuck. That's why you gonna have to be in tune with your star fucking like these motherfuckers putting all this bullshit on the news. If you watch the news, you would think steroids is the drug problem in America. I've been all across this great country buying drugs and shit. I have never ran into a steroid salesman. Like, one of you niggas ever ran into one just, oh, you're gonna have to buy steroids, nigga. Buy steroids, you shouldn't be selling weed right now. So you fuck, they fuck up steroids. Steroids are supposed to be the perfect goddamn drug. Now they got Roger Clemens all on TV talking about he ain't on steroids. He can say he ain't on steroids, but what he can't do is not look big as fuck on TV while he's saying it. That motherfucker's huge. I was never on steroids. I was never on steroids. It just got bigger and stronger the older I got. You didn't talk so goddamn much. That's why Barry Bonds is still a goddamn G. Because Barry didn't say shit. They couldn't stand that motherfucker. Every time they asked him another question, he just hit another home run. They was mad as shit. Barry, are you on steroids?
This is Buick. Now. Buick.
Exceptional by design. Get 0.9% APR on these. No comment. Shit, that motherfucker. I don't know how they fucked up steroids. Steroids supposed to be the perfect goddamn drug. You know how excited a nigga my side was to hear about a human growth hormone, nigga? I thought Jesus had answered this prayer individually. I was glued to the TV. Thank you, Jesus, for finally coming through. I appreciate that. I knew you wasn't gonna let me look like a seventh grader the rest of my life. No. Fuck what y'all talking about. I was gonna be the first nigga on steroids. I'm gonna have to be the biggest nigga in comedy one way or the goddamn other. At 5'5", 1,246 pounds of comedy. And I'm coming out in the first post biker shorts, so you niggas can't act like I ain't big shit. Nothing, I apologize. Well, fuck me anyway, but feel my arms. You get out there in my arms. I don't see you feel that. Motherfuckers fucked up everything. That's why I'm saying if you a real motherfucker, you just gonna have to hold on to the fact you a real motherfucker because it's getting ready to change. It ain't just about color no more. They hate all real motherfuckers. I'm gonna give you a prime example. There's a white boy that ran track for a motherfucking living. He ran track for a motherfucking living and he lost both his motherfucking legs. Now I hate losers and quitters, but I feel like if you run for a motherfucking living and you lose both of your motherfucking legs, you should be allowed to sit this motherfucker out. You have done everything there was for you to do. And this motherfucker on some gangster shit decide not only is he gonna walk again, he decide he gonna fucking race again. Now you got to be in tune with your fucking star player to pull this shit off. Cause they made him some aluminum racing legs and shit look like bent back paper clips and shit. That's don't try to act like something wrong with me. Some of you motherfuckers saw the story. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. They look like bent back paper clips, like two baby boomerangs and shit. That's what he had to run on. That motherfucker is in tune with his star fucking player. Cause sometimes motherfuckers ain't gonna have your back like you think you should. And this motherfucker now gotta come in on his aluminum racing legs and race again. And he gotta try to come in and be all calm and smooth and not draw too much attention to himself. Motherfuckers fucking with him and shit. Yeah, you gotta go over there and sign up first before you race. Oh, okay, motherfucker. Yeah, they said I gotta sign up first. It's no sign up at all. This fucking thing happened. This motherfucker not only started running, this motherfucker started winning. And you know a hater can't stand a goddamn winner. And the last place you wanna be in a motherfucking foot race is behind the motherfucker with no goddamn foot. That's a last. I mean, them motherfuckers is mad as shit. But you gonna have to be in tune with your star fucking players. Cause these haters do not play fair. These hating ass motherfuckers at the Olympic committee let this motherfucker race and then waited till he won and then disqualified him and said that he had a fair advantage.
Excuse you?
Are you talking about a motherfucker running with no goddamn legs? Is that what the fuck you talking about? Oh, no, Tink Tink. Think about that when you think you having a bad goddamn day. Oh, little Tink Tink, that kind of bitch.
Hold little ting ting.
Bitch.
Your brother said, hold little ting ting.
Into with your start fucking playing. These motherfuckers want you to be miserable. They want you to be sad. They want you to feel like they feel. You can't feel like the fuck they feel because you ain't like them. You gonna have to get every fucking laugh you can possibly get. Fuck what they talk about. They want you to be sad because they sad. Fuck that. You gotta be happy. If a motherfucker fall in front of you in 2000 and you are the doctor on duty across the street from the hospital, it is your obligation to get 7 laughs off that motherfucker before he get off the ground. So he get 4-5 minutes. You gonna do it. Because they want you to be miserable. I laugh at shit I'm supposed to laugh at. I laugh first and apologize after. When they was talking about the polygamy range, and they had it all on TV before they showed them and shit, when they was just showing the range, and they had told us all kind of fucked up shit that was going on in there. I watched TV like, just show us what these motherfucking monsters look like. Just show us what these hateful motherfucking creatures look like. And then they opened the doors and these motherfuckers came out like on the goddamn prairie shit. Bitch came out with a dress made out of construction paper and leaves and shit. I laughed the whole goddamn time. I had them old women in there, they don't know nothing about nothing. They ain't never seen Sex in the City or Sopranos, nothing. They ain't never seen nothing. They don't know what to say to them. You just, we want our kids. Oh, I laughed from a good, healthy place to see white people back in colonial days again on TV. If you go down and meet niggas, it'll be some different shit. And they'd have found 400 nigga kids in a kid. They'd have burned that bitch down and came in with 800 SWAT teams. But because they white, they came and got them in tour buses and shit. Come on. I laugh all the goddamn time. I don't give a fuck if it's right or not. I laugh first. Like when them motherfuckers got attacked by that goddamn tiger in the goddamn zoo in San Francisco and shit. And they had it all on CNN like it was a national tragedy and shit. Just, oh, it's so sad. Well, I didn't see nothing sad at all. He wasn't kids, he was grown motherfuckers. I feel like if you a grown motherfucker and you get killed, and you get killed by a tiger, and you get killed by a tiger in a zoo, and you get killed by a tiger in a zoo in San Francisco, I think God's will has been done for your life. I think that's exactly what was supposed to happen. I think he wanted me to laugh about it a whole lot. That's what I think. Fuck that. I'm a man. I feel like if you raise a child that's dumb enough to climb into a tiger's cage, you should tell them the rest of the goddamn story. Then the tiger eat your asshole out, baby. That's the end. That's what the fuck's supposed to happen. And these motherfucking zookeepers got on TV and started talking shit about the tigers. Started snitching on the tigers like they was disappointed in the tigers and shit. Like, we can't believe they would even do something like that. They've never done anything like that before. And if they're endangered to the community, then we're ready to get rid of them. You gonna get rid of the tiger? You gonna get rid of the only real motherfucker in the whole goddamn equation? You gonna get rid of the tiger? First of all, white people understand this. If you don't understand what it's like to be a tiger in a zoo, I don't know how you ever gonna understand what it's like to be a nigga in America if you can't understand what it's like to be a tiger in the zoo. Look at white people. What?
1000X series with Post Malone.
gets you. Chevy is ready to drive you forward with pure power unleashed and future-forward technology.
From the Tigers motherfucking viewpoint. First of all, this ain't no fake ass got it at the mall. This is a real goddamn tiger. Like the kind that Bill Nash on the back of a wildebeest ass and shit. The wildebeest don't even be dead. I thought they were dead. I don't give a fuck if it's hungry now. Real fucking tiger. And every day they got this real fucking tiger in a fake ass habitat. Real fucking tiger. Fake ass habitat. And the tiger not supposed to know that this is a fake system. Monster, nigga. You a beast. You a religion. Nigga, you supposed to war. It's supposed to happen. And every fucking day the time come out and try and shit don't work. And some of us know how to fuck that feel me. Trying shit, won't work. Trying shit, won't work. Switch it up. Trying shit, won't work. That's how the fucking time feel. Every goddamn day he come out with the roar and shit. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. See how they disrespect the time? These old timers don't know what the fuck to do. If these old fine in a fake ass habitat, what the fuck you think them timers talk about every goddamn day? Nothing but what the fuck they would do if a motherfucker was to ever they over the goddamn gate. That's all the fuck they talk about. Just wish the motherfucker would. And this goddamn case. This case right here, nigga. This case right here. The tiger be fucked up. Because the tiger feel like he's supposed to be eating elephants and giraffes and shit. And every day they come feed him meat out of a bucket and shit. And all while he eating that bullshit, what he be looking at? Your good fresh meat ass walking around with you in a video camera and shit. Look at that delicious ass fat bitch right there. I mean, shit. That delicious ass fat bitch right there. Fuck that, it's a baby fat right on her motherfucking ass. You know that's my favorite part. I love baby fat. And the time will be fucked up because they don't know what to feel. And after a while, he get depressed and down. Start acting like us. You know how we get depressed and start down. Shit, we think they can possibly get just. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel very much like a tiger. Maybe I'm just a vicious ass koala man. Did you ever investigate that? But as a real motherfucker, you can't never afford to give up. One opportunity, and that's the opportunity to show a motherfucker they ain't bullshit. And I bet them tigers know if they could possibly get. And then something wonderful happens in the world. They just nigga, this is not a drill. Get ready, nigga. They think we bullshit.
They think we bullshitting. Nigga, this is not a drill. They think we bullshitting.
Wait for it, wait for it. fuck's supposed to happen? What the fuck's supposed to happen? God damn, that's nice. That's a strong ass fucking baby. I was gonna throw both my arms. That would have fucked up all the rest of the show. I had to do it like this, whole little tink tink. My motherfucking point is, we gonna do some new motherfucking shit in the world. We gonna do some new fucking shit. It's gonna be important that you have your star player in line. Then you gonna have to make sure you got your team set up. And some of us been forgetting to set up our motherfucking team. And you're not gonna be able to go past 2008 without your motherfucking team. You're gonna need 3 or 4 motherfuckers that you know for a fact will jump in and block bullshit off your motherfucking ass in a time of crisis. You gonna need that shit. You gonna need 4, 5 motherfuckers. Will just jump in and block bullshit off of your motherfucking ass in a time of crisis. You're gonna need that. The team is gonna be very, very important in this next motherfucking era we've been to go into. You're gonna need the team. If you don't believe me, ask my motherfucking team. That nigga's alone. Everybody told on that nigga. Everybody. Family, friends, co-workers, strangers. This motherfucker's in line excited to tell on this nigga. Yes, I saw him when he was 4 years old and he had 2 puppies with him. I just won't say that. In case that was important. These motherfuckers don't give a fuck. That's why you got to make sure your team is together. Because these motherfuckers are snap on you. They'll switch on you like I can't even fucking do it.
I think this is a good transition to said Switch 2 because I got one. I got it. It's very weird that I got it because
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you weren't buying one.
because I didn't contact them very early about a pre-order, and I technically only actually reserved Mario Kart World. I didn't actually reserve the Switch because when I called them, they were like, "We don't know when we're getting the consoles." So they called me about my okay, we have Mario Kart World, and I was like, "Cool. I'm actually gonna wait until you guys also have a console." And they were like, "Cool, yeah, we'll let you know." And then like a couple hours later, they were like, "Somebody just canceled. We have a console for you."
No way.
There was no line.
Yeah.
And I understand this could be seen as a success because, they actually made enough, which is great. But
Well,
I talked
Nintendo
to...
said they would. They said that's what
Yes.
they were gonna do. They were like,
Right,
we are pumping these. We are making some consoles here, ladies and gentlemen.
Which is awesome. Except,
That's their anti-scalping strategy.
except
Yes.
I talked to the owner of Willow while I was there, picking it up.
Yeah.
And I asked them, I was like, what has demand been like? And she was like, yeah, a lot lower than we expected. Like, a lot.
Interesting.
And she's talking about it's for everything. Like, not a ton of the games are flying off the shelf either. The accessory sales are a little bit lower than expected. So, like, someone might come in and buy the, cheaper, because you want a game, Mario Kart Switch bundle thing, but then they're not buying a Pro Controller with it, or the wheel add-on thingy for the new Pro Controllers, or whatever else. And it's really expensive. The economy is in complete shambles right now, just worldwide. So, people are, not only are they don't necessarily...
Hey, how's it going, my guy? You look familiar. I recognize the symbol. Did you change your name?
It's not even the entire story.
It's the uncertainty. Yeah.
It's the uncertainty.
Like,
You
you
were
really want to
chatting with a guy who runs some factories. Let's not get any more specific than that. Sure. Who basically said, yeah, I have
Yeah, that's why I said you look familiar.
investments.
I didn't know it was you, crazy.
In the lead up to COVID, around COVID, after COVID, and then during the first Big Red Tie administration, and afterward, and right now, I'm just holding pattern. No investment, no plan, no idea, because when things change on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah, I need a whole bunch of nature for Gilgamesh.
Build a factory in a span of weeks or months. It takes years. And so when you're planning that far out and things are changing so fast, it's devastating to your ability to execute, to get anything done. Let's talk about the Switch too. So,
Yes.
Luke, you were going to say something in the pre-show, and I was like, content, but I don't remember what you said.
Oh, I would say when the announcement first happened, we were talking about it on WAN. I talked
Yeah.
about how I thought it was like kind of boring.
Yeah,
And I still
but wait.
feel that way. I haven't
Okay.
even opened the box yet. To be
Dude.
clear.
I don't even agree at all.
I
Like
think it's boring. Look at the history
okay.
of Nintendo consoles, man. It's boring.
Well, hold on. Everybody back up. Everybody back up for a second. What it is, though, is what it tries to be. It's
Yo, crazy. How your day been so far?
hold on. Okay, by that logic, let's say that Nvidia released a GPU tomorrow that instead of costing $300, cost $450 and had 4x, 5x the performance. Would that be boring?
But that's no
Type of spec
in a decade. Decade.
But it doesn't matter. The point is what we had. Well, hold on. What we had was this. What we have now is this times 4.
Yeah, which is what other consoles do, which is boring.
Sure.
That's not what Nintendo has historically largely done with almost every generation. For a Nintendo console, this is boring. It's cool. I bought one. I'm excited about it. I'm happy to go home and take it out of the box. I'm happy about the product. I still think it's boring.
But you're coming at this from the perspective of someone who hasn't even turned it on yet.
I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who has historically looked at Nintendo consoles as almost every single launch is a really exciting experience to see what interesting, curious, driven engineers have brought to the table in terms of changing how gaming is done. And what I'm seeing is a console that's faster, a dock that is better, and cartridges that don't even have the damn.
And that's all fair. But let me tell you, I spent the 15 Canadian dollars on the enhanced version of Breath of the Wild.
And I'm going to. I'm stoked.
And in terms of, because look, I mean, I don't think I expect gaming hardware to excite me anymore. What I expect to excite me is gaming. And maybe what I'm doing is I'm channeling a little bit of, what David and Plouffe were talking about from the art shop, where they were like, okay, does it, like, do I, with them they were talking about, like, pixel peeping, like, do I actually need better performance? And in this case, the better performance is not just about, pixel peeping a little bit and having, like, slightly smoother frame rate or whatever. It's about changing the way that I can experience the game. And for something like Breath of the Wild, where aiming when you're dropping down into frame rates in the low 20s sometimes, where you're getting these stutters, where your display is on the OLED, it's beautiful. I would personally take the OLED display over the HDR on the Switch too. But especially, I played through Breath of the Wild on the Switch. And if you had told me at that time that I could have a new Switch that's just basically everything that was good about the Switch and innovative about the Switch, but fixed. It just fixed all my problems. That would change the gameplay experience. That would make me really excited. I
feel like
I enjoy playing on it.
Call this a Pro or something. Or
you feel like this is
old Nintendo. Like if you look at some of the DS versions they had, where it was like 3DS plus new colorful edition, whatever. I feel like they would have iterated because it's. I don't see a ton of even with the GameCube. It's like okay, it was small, they put a handle on it. Like they tried something. And with this one, it's just like they did the thing with the dock that they obviously should have done the first time.
Make it higher performance.
Yeah, put a fan on it. Just come on. It really wouldn't have taken a lot.
Okay, Nintendo has taken big risks and done something really different. Okay, so your GameCube example, the Wii U, they got pounded into the dirt commercially for doing that. Would I blame them at all? Like, I mean, that's not your argument. Your argument is not that it's not smart. Your argument is that it's not exciting.
Yeah, I think it's equally smart.
I find this kickstand pretty exciting. This is going to change the usability of this device for me. You know what? I'm excited by the fact that they included micro SD Express. I saw someone commenting on my unboxing video like, why is it's positive for Nintendo to include this standard that like no one really supports it? Because they're forward thinking.
Yeah, that's
You don't need a micro SD card today. You need it when it's time to expand the storage, and micro SD Express is going to be sick. And by taking it mainstream, dude, look at what happened to the price of micro SD cards once the Switch supported them. It was awesome because it went mainstream. We hit volume production. It was great. So Nintendo helped to drive like industry standard memory card form factors like micro SD Express. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm not going to apologize for that. This is great.
Yeah, I wonder, like, at the same time, I think, like, I know this is true, and I don't want to, you know, I can eat this and talk to the boys, but, like, does the kill switch, just have that kickstand?
Keeping transmissions alive has become a where it's hot.
Yeah,
yes.
it's the original
Yeah,
kill
it just
switch.
passes through.
Oh, it just passes through.
Yeah, it just passes this kickstand through because this kickstand is really nice.
What kickstand did the original kill switch have?
The original kill switch or the original switch?
Kill switch. I know what the.
I can't remember. I think it did have it had that weird magnetic
It had its
thing,
own kickstand.
and then it became a flip or something. Remember? That there was like an engineering issue with it, and they had to change how it worked on the back. It's not a chapel. Probably.
I see a thing.
Yeah.
It has its own kickstand. So like that was. I do agree with you that it's better. I really like the new kickstand. But
Yeah.
I understand Wii U was rough. I think the actual Wii U was great. Genuinely. I think that was literally a marketing failure. In my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So that's a tough one.
And to be clear, there are things that I'm really not happy about. You know, I am not stoked that voice chat is going to I'm not stoked at the way that Nintendo is paywalling more and more and more of the functionality of their console behind Nintendo Online. I've talked in the past about how, on principle, I refuse to subscribe to Nintendo Online because they don't allow you to back up your save games to the micro SD card. That is
functionality.
That is just obviously Nintendo holding hostage your ability to keep your games safe,
Yeah.
which on a portable device is particularly offensive. I'm frustrated because even though obviously I want to acknowledge my privilege here for a second. I can afford Nintendo Online. That they walk behind me. And I'm gonna feel like with this thing I paid $450 for. So I'm not happy about that. Apparently the Joy-Con teardown was not good. And it looks like, we don't know for sure, because there's no way of knowing for sure until it actually happens, but it looks like stick drift is just going to continue to be a problem. And I think I've had 4 or 6 Joy-Cons in my house. I think it's 4. Of the 4 Joy-Cons that I took on my last trip, though, so those 4, 3 of them have severe stick drift, and 1 of them has moderate stick drift. And our consoles are not even super heavily used. It's bad. It's not a matter of if it'll fail, it's a matter of when it'll fail, which is really frustrating.
This is breaking, so it's fine that it wasn't in the topic, to be clear, just in case anyone's reviewing this. But in chat, we were talking, and they linked me to a Tom's Harbor article that was linked in the bottom of the Nintendo Switch 2 topic.
Oh, thanks, Bob.
But I'm going to share my screen now. Hackers discover Nintendo Switch 2 exploit one day after launch. Minor hack allows running custom code on top of OS. No way.
Already?
That's crazy, man.
That is
Apparently they got it to run a like frame buffer check already. So I saw that somewhere else. That's probably the Reddit thread that people are linking. I'm gonna not share my screen before I click on the Reddit link that people are posting.
Alright.
That was
There's a lot more for us to talk through here.
introduce away
the Joy-Cons being
at least partially jailbroken.
Yeah, in addition to the Joy-Cons being potentially susceptible to failure, I fixed it, gave it a 3 out of 10 repairability score. The OG was 4 out of 10. In part, this is due to a ton of stickers that have to be destroyed to access the screens, the battery being glued in, and the USB ports and game cartridge slot being soldered to the main board. Joy-Cons are apparently even harder to fix as well. Yeah, so that was one of our discussion questions, is what is your take on Nintendo opting to not send out this? Does that communicate that they felt they had something to hide, or does it communicate a deep level of confidence in this product? I can see it both ways, man.
I could absolutely see it both ways. I don't think Nintendo much likes the media. I can put it that way.
I can see why they don't like me much.
yeah, that makes sense. It's not like they didn't give it to me. They're just obviously extremely selective about who they give it to.
Yeah. Curiously, like I saw some choices that were like non-gamers. Like
more rewards, more savings, more special offers. That's what new Fuel Rewards members get at Shell. Join to save 10 cents per gallon on your first fill, 20 cents per gallon on the second, and 30 cents per gallon on the third. Join today.
Wait, there's 3 glow-ups for every outdoors phase. First, create instant shade in a snap. Next, add comfy seating the whole family can enjoy. And don't forget the fun factor with games for all ages. All your outdoor upgrades delivered free and easy. Shop everything outdoor at wayfair.com.
Nintendo wants to be lifestyle, even though it's gaming.
Yeah, that's always been a weird one to me.
Yeah.
It's like, here's an alarm clock. By the way, this alarm clock will mean nothing to you, and you won't care about it at all unless you are 100% a gamer.
Yeah.
Jeff JK says, quit whinging and y'all will get one. Oh, dude, it has nothing to do with whining, and everything to do with A, not many people getting one, and Nintendo's choices being baffling, and B, to do with the fact that we openly talk about emulation. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah. Criticism.
Nintendo's one of those companies that's very much like Apple. That the way that they work is they engage with media that align with their vision. And Nintendo, surprisingly, does engage with us to a limited degree. From time to time, they'll answer an email. I believe we got a review of the Switch Lite. Actually, in fact, we might have even gotten a review of the Switch back in the day. So they do engage with us from time to time. They're not just radio silent like Apple, but I suspect that there are folks at Nintendo who would just kind of rather not talk to us or acknowledge us, and I get that.
I know I've been harping on how it's boring. I'm just sitting here trying to think, like, I know they did kind of the Joy-Cons. They expanded upon it with the Wii U, and they had the Joy-Con Plus or expansion pack, whatever it's called. But now we have the little Switch Joy-Cons, and we have the newer Switch 2 Joy-Cons or whatever. It would have been kind of cool to see them go back. Pretty far. They go to like a glove or something, like a haptic glove. Would have been sick. Or something. I know they're again, they want to be lifestyle. They want to get people outside. If they embraced this, Niantic just sold itself to some terrifying company. But I have loved this concept where, like, I'll play Pokemon Go for hours. I'll be walking around the park or something, and I've got my little dongle thing in my pocket. It's just buzzing away, catching Pokemon, walking that's great. It would be cool if they tried to get people outside or something, but while still playing their games. Like, I think there's opportunities that they could have taken and they just went, yeah, it's faster.
We don't know that they won't do stuff though. I mean, I don't think anyone saw the cardboard kits coming with the original Switch.
That's very true. Avo, yeah,
Like, come on, don't count them out
That's
on
fair.
R&D ideas. Like, it's still Nintendo, and it's the Switch, but it's like
Yeah.
way better. On it, and like, dude, I haven't played World yet because they made me go shoot other stuff. Okay, I shouldn't say they made me go shoot other stuff when I was doing my short circuit unboxing. Was that yesterday? Good lord, yeah, yesterday. Yesterday morning, I was shooting the unboxing, and I got to one level, one track that has like a wave racer section where you're like on CDs, and dude, it's like freaking awesome. So like I haven't gotten to play much because I finished that shoot, and then I went straight to one on upgrading storage of non-upgradable Macs. We had a guest come in. I'm excited for you guys to see that video. I actually got to upgrade the storage on a non-upgradable, like soldered motherboard Mac myself, with tools that we have in our shop. So I thought that was pretty sick. And then I had to go home and pack, and then I've been busy all day. So I haven't, and now I'm doing lunch, so I haven't really gotten a chance to play, but the little bit that I played, dude, the controls feel so good. The bigger joysticks are more than welcome. The bigger face buttons are great. The big screen, the screen is great. And when you compare the size, the thickness, the weight, the general chunk of this device to PC handhelds that have a similar size of screen or similar class of screen, when I first saw leaked images of the Switch 2, I was like, oh my god, it's too big, it's ridiculous, forget it. It's basically a handheld PC. They've completely lost track of what it means to build a handheld console. Like the Nintendo of the DS Lite days would look at this and cry for shame. But now that it's in my hand, I really like it. We have some more discussion questions about the Switch. One of them is, what is your prediction for lifetime sales of the Switch 2? And related, will it end up being, to your point, more of a Switch Pro, or the OG continuing to sell well alongside its successor? Like, is this going to be a PS2, where Nintendo just can't discontinue that damn first-gen Switch? And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments as well.
So enormous that there are going to be many people that just can't afford it, and it'll be much more affordable and still a cool experience. It's going to be super cool to have the original Switch. So it'll.
I'll link it down below. It's supposed to like snatch you up, so I got it first. To the gym. So that's right. Wait, it is. It's like, it's getting milk. Listen to my milk jacket. That's what I'm calling this. What? That's so cute. Thanks for this.
What it is.
Jax rates is a really important thing around this launch. I'm not going to give them any of my money if they threaten to break my property because they somehow happen to learn to emulate or whatever. Stop giving them coverage is my suggestion. So the first bit, yeah, that's a really good point. Nintendo's changed their terms of service, allowing them to remotely brick property that you paid for. Unacceptable.
Absolutely.
What we need though is legislation making that illegal. Because companies are just going to keep pushing the envelope on this. I don't think that Nintendo is unique in that regard. As for your suggestion that I just stop covering things, it's not really an option. There were a lot of suggestions actually in the Xbox on the Switch, like more than just a couple, that we just shouldn't be covering it. And I don't really know how to address that because yeah, I don't really, because it's like, what should I cover today then? It's like actually my job, and it's not just my job, right? Like it's all the people who work here. It's our job to cover this stuff and to do the best job that we can, and at the same time to highlight the things that are not great about these releases, and do our job as members of the media to educate people on what's good about things and what's bad about them. So to me, it almost feels like it's like when you ask um, the ethical person that works at a government agency who resigns because they were asked to do something that was not okay. It's like it's like being happy when they resign, knowing that ultimately they're going to be replaced by someone who just does whatever, right? Like if I'm sitting here, you know, hey, what are the things that are obstacles for you? Like I've been reading the comments on that video extremely thoroughly, making sure that when we do our review on LTP, that we are addressing these concerns and helping to make people broadly aware of them, right? Like that's our job. I think that giving that kind of feedback to someone who is right, like we're a team over here, to a team that is trying to take your feedback that we can take, right? Feedback of how do we cover this in a way that addresses the community's concerns, right? Giving feedback like you should just not cover it, I think it's really self-destructive, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is the same thing of some members of the audience trying to show for every single
Jimmy Cutie makes a good point. You say that it's unacceptable, and then you accept it by buying more Nintendo products. And includes Nintendo under the wallet. And you know what? That's a really good point. That's a super good point. And I acknowledge that straight up, head on, in my first leak summary video of the Switch 2. I don't like a lot of this stuff. I really want to play Nintendo games. I'm human. And what I want is better long-term solutions because, again, I don't think Nintendo is unique in bending customers over, and I don't think that anything is going to get any better without legislation. But you're right to call that out.
There's
I don't think that gaming is comparable to food. What I also do is as ridiculous as it is on the surface because, well, sort of. Like, I do think that happiness is essential, and I do think that a lot of people derive happiness from gaming. I think the audience that I'm talking to can probably relate to that pretty decently,
I like Nintendo products because demographic within my life that I get to play them with. And that is not necessarily true for almost any other type of gaming that I do. We've had discussions on the Nintendo history of the show. I feel like I speak pretty badly on most things, but Nintendo is just like unfortunately this annoying company that make their stuff. Which sucks because there's just again there's that demographic in my life of people that I can play Nintendo games with that don't really want to play anything else, and I'm not giving up on those people. It's important. So
that's a nice hat asks someone helping out here what's the concern right now. The concern is that Nintendo's terms of service changed recently, giving them theoretically the right to brick your console remotely. So they don't like it. We've got some more discussion questions. Are you mad that there's no OLED out?
Especially for the price of this current one and release an OLED version at this price or higher. That's my theory.
So here's the thing. We know that the OLED would cost more, right? Because an OLED panel will cost more. People are already outraged at the price. What would you have had them do? Would you have had them release two consoles side by side, one at 450, one at 500 or 550, with maybe more storage and an OLED panel? Would that have made people more mad, less mad? Legitimately, I want to know what people would have had Nintendo do here.
a simple way to build a wall. Begin with any block or any of the layers. Just so. Repeat all the way.
People are saying bad take, but I'm not giving you a take. I'm asking a question. What would you have them do? And it is a fact, it's a simple fact, that an OLED panel costs more than an LCD panel at the same size. Especially if it's a brand new form factor, and this is, I'm not aware of any other device that's using an OLED that is this size and aspect ratio, so it would be, it has to be truly for a new display. What would you have them do if people are already arranged to price? TVS says did not do that for the Steam Deck. Wasn't their base model IPS, the higher end model with more storage and was OLED? Yes, they did. Steam Deck OLED didn't exist at the game. Came later. Not because Valve was just trying to bilk people and squeeze more money out of them with an OLED upgrade later, but because it took a little while for them to catch up and for them to be able to integrate the OLED panel. And they came at it with, I think, a pretty reasonable upcharge. And we weren't that about that, so I just want to know what's different here. What do you think, Luke? Yeah, that's fair enough.
They weren't bricking people's switches that tried to mod them. I think people would be mad. I think if it was more affordable and they were bricking people's switches that modded them, people would be mad. I think the only way that people wouldn't be mad with this launch is if it was significantly cheaper and they weren't doing the brick your console. If you wanted to utilize hardware that you purchased in a way that you want, which is like obvious.
And the game card thing is big.
Oh, I forgot about the game card thing. That's also
the game card thing is big one. And of course the games. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will tell you guys the premise of the video. One of the other videos we shot this week was me giving my son a birthday present. See, he had his birthday a while back, and he's not a super materialistic kind of guy. And so, the one thing that I know he likes is he likes his Nintendo Switch. And so I said, okay, son, happy birthday, I got you a Switch too. He's like, oh, where is it? Oh, it's not out yet. Let me think that magic. I'll give it to you when it comes out. And so, for a video concept slash just an interesting exercise, because I was really curious to get just, an average gamer's perspective on it, I brought him into the studio, and the intro of the video goes, happy birthday, son. Here's your Switch 2, is what I would say if I wasn't worried that you're making the greatest mistake of your young life. You haven't even seen what else is out there yet. Why would you just settle for the first thing? Actually, I didn't do that. I would settle for the first thing you meet. Angle, that's really funny. I should have done that for the intro anyway. But the point is, I kind of pull the Switch 2 away and I go, wait a second, you haven't tried anything else yet. And so we got a whole roster of other handheld gaming devices. Ally X, Legion Go, IDM 3, MSI Claw. I'm sure I'm missing something, but also we had the Switch 2 in there. And basically, I made him a deal. I said, you can have your Switch 2 for your birthday, or you can try all these other ones, and if there's any one that you like better, you can have that instead. And I'm not going to tell you guys what the conclusion is. Plus, I will say, but what I will say is that because I kind of trickled out the information about each thing. Oh yeah, PS Portal was one of them. Because he was like stoked on the PS Portal. But then I was like, okay, see that PlayStation? Like, that's where it's running off. And if you're too far away from your PlayStation, it doesn't work too good. It's like, oh, okay, because I was willing to offer a PlayStation 5 plus Portal. And realistically, it's not even that far off the pricing if I like pick them up secondhand or whatever, right? So anyway, the funny, I wouldn't say the funniest moment, because there's one toward the end that's like really good. But one of the funniest moments was when I kind of sprung on him Okay, but here's the thing about the Switch 2. While the pricing might actually be cheaper than some of these like PC handhelds, the games are really expensive. Like I'm talking over $100. To be clear, I'm talking Canadian dollars, which they are. They're over $100 for AAA games. And he responds. He goes for each game.
They used to like Steam pricing.
100%, dude. He was completely taken aback by it. And, like, you mean for each game? Like he could. It's one of those things that you can't act. He just was mind blown by it. Like what?
Yeah, the games really don't price much.
No, they don't. It's wild, dude. It's wild. But no, he's 100% right. Like that's a major issue with this platform. It's like Nintendo, I mean, they're taking out the here where up front that they're trying to make money on the consoles, which fair enough, you know. But they're also charging so much for the games that I feel like it'd be pretty nice if that game was subsidizing the price of the hardware a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
All right.
What up, yo, GG? How's it going?
Last discussion topic here for the Switch 2 is what are you most excited to play?
I'm very curious about our world. I have intentionally not looked into it very much. It's the only game I have been buying at this point.
Well, technically, you have all your old games too.
Yep.
The upgrade packs are 15 Canadian, which I don't love, but I don't hate. I think it's somewhat reasonable. I do hate, by the way, this is wild. Your old carts are still locked at 30 FPS.
I'm good. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm chilling mostly.
Or any enhancements or whatever. If they run at a solid 30 FPS, but it still is frame rate locked at 30 FPS. That's ridiculous. If I had more powerful hardware, I should just run at more FPS anyway.
Yeah, base computer guy take. Yeah, I think our world. I don't want to know too much about it. Maybe if you like played it and you enjoyed it, like that's cool. It sounds really weird to me. And I'm interested to experience the weirdness and see how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, so anyway, guys, we're gonna have lots of coverage on the Switch 2 coming up. We're gonna have the review on LTT. We're gonna have that shopping video with my son. That's gonna be great, and hopefully it has a very long life, and who knows, maybe it comes down in price at some point along the way, gets an OLED variant, and
Here's a question I have for you, actually.
yeah.
Would you have bought a Switch 2 for yourself if you were to play games with like Little Man or others? If it was basically just for you.
Well, hold on. By just for me, what if it wasn't for me and my kids? What if it was for me and like entertaining? Because there's no better machine for hooking up to the Rec Room TV when we host a party than a Switch. And for that, I mean, you know what a frame rate, image quality, enthusiast I am. I like to have a great gaming experience. And so to me, the new Switch is Nintendo's asking for $450 from me for the first time in 8 years. Assuming I didn't buy an OLED, right? Which I did, but like they're not actually asking for a console worth of money from me that often. And so yeah, it would just be part of my setup for when I have friends over, like the Mario Party or whatever.
Okay, and that is, in my opinion, the correct way to answer that question. But I want to move the goalpost and ask again. What if it was just for you, no entertainment, just for you?
that'd be tough. I thought I was gonna play Tears of the Kingdom. I bought it, and then I got like 15 minutes into it, and I was like, oh, okay. Similar to me, what I loved about Breath of the Wild was that it was so different, and you know what? Maybe I'm making your same argument of where I'm trying to say the Switch is exciting, you're saying it's iterative, and I'm kind of making the same argument because people are going to be like, yeah, I played Tears of the Kingdom, it was so different. There was so much that was different about it. How can you possibly say it's iterative? It's emotional. It's gaming. It's not objective. It's not FPS frame times. It's gaming. Mario Kart DS. I don't think that if it wasn't a launch title for a console that I ultimately decided to buy anyway, I don't think I would have just gone out of my way to get into a Mario Kart again, because Mario Kart DS, it was a very different stage of my life. I was taking public transit a lot, and I just had downtime. I don't even think DS played what I had, so I don't even think I had a smartphone yet. That was kind of what I did when I had idle time. So I don't think I would pick that up again. I'm gonna totally dodge your question again. I would buy it again, but I would buy it for the same reason that I bought this one, to try it, and then if I don't end up caring about it, put it in the lounge at Smash Hams. So what I've decided is I'm either going to keep this and put my Switch OLED in the lounge at Smash Hams, or I'm going to decide I just don't care that much and I'm not going to use it, and I'll borrow my son's if I really need it, and I will put this in Smash Hams, and then either sell the Switch OLED or hold on to it or put it in the virtually. If it was just a game, just handheld, I probably wouldn't bother, because I don't. I have so many games in my backlog and I haven't had a chance to finish that I just don't see the need to buy.
This is the answer I was looking for,
Because you want to talk about a game you finished?
No, because ultimately, I think we kind of bought it for similar reasons,
Right.
and it was not necessarily just us. It was the social ecosystem that this brand, very unfortunately, seems to be able to bring together sometimes. I know it wasn't. They advertised it as if it was going to be, and I don't think it was quite as much, but Wii parties were a thing.
Oh yeah.
100%. Switch parties, I don't know.
But guys, I have spoiled nothing because I'm talking about the rationale for purchasing it.
Yeah.
Well, then I spoiled my son's choice.
Oh, yeah.
Because I made the decision before he even came in to shoot the video.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
I think that's just a misunderstanding. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a bringer together of people.
Yeah. And nobody else does local gaming the way that Nintendo does. With that said, there's a lot more on Steam these days than there used to be. I'm finally playing Unravel 2. Icon and I are almost done, and it's great. It's fun. It's not super challenging. If you're an old school gamer or whatever, it's very much like It Takes Two for me. Beautiful environments, less fun gimmicks. It Takes Two had a lot of different gameplay mechanics that Unravel 2 doesn't really. But it's beautiful environments, and you just hang out and you just play a game and you just enjoy each other's company and chill on the couch. You don't have to think super hard a lot of the time. And that is getting better on the PC side, but I don't think anything is quite Mario Party.
Yeah. Even though Mario Party kind of sucks now, it still works.
Anyways, I thought the latest one fixed the unskippable months that I had with the one that I bought. I'm not actually sure.
I didn't know there's been one since then. So.
Yeah, there has. That one that you and I played together for a little bit, or tried to play together, but it was unusable because of how impossible it was to skip anything. That was. Yeah, and what killed me about it was how fixable it was. Oh, yeah.
You. Halo 3 is truly helped me travel across the country, never have to worry about anything.
I love Tier 3 tires because they're reliable, they're durable, they save you a consistent bill.
It's definitely critical to have a tough tire. Halo 3 is just up in the game.
In 2006, the seventh generation of gaming had officially kicked off. The Xbox 360 having released a year before, scamming 5 million people with a defective system that would break before the decade was over. The PS3 releasing a year after. The 360 for $500, which really costs that much more. Oh my god! Reducing the price by $100 a year later after the console did this. They released this later 2 years later in 2009, reducing the price by another $100. They're reducing it by another $50 2 years after that to just barely beat the 360 in the end, which still feels wrong to this day.
Nintendo won this generation.
While Microsoft and Sony were in bloody conflict for a decade, competing tooth and nail for every individual gamer, Nintendo was doing this. And this,
My body is ready.
and this. And not only winning, but winning so badly that Microsoft tried copying them with the HAL 9000. I don't know what's the bigger scam, the white Xbox or the Kinect, making Nintendo the top dog in the gaming industry once again after being in third place as a generation before the time not having completely shifted. Sony was playing catch up and being Mr. Consumer Friendly, hoping we forgot about the kidney they were trying to forcefully rip away from us a decade earlier. And Xbox getting such a big head after coming in as third place that they genuinely killed themselves so badly with the one and trying to make it an acquired system.
For people who aren't able to get some form of it's called Xbox 360.
To the point where they're still trying to recover 12 years later, and Nintendo becoming the egomaniac that Sony continues to report releasing the Wii U in 2012, which sold. Hold on, I had to scroll over. Hold on, I had to scroll over. Hold on, I had to scroll over. There it is, 13 million units, 86% less than their previous console. That's insanity, but they at least beat the PS Vita, allegedly. The tides having switched again. Sony was now on top. Xbox was being Xbox, and Nintendo being third until 2017, where the Switch released. And hold on, I had to scroll higher. Hold on, I had to scroll higher. Hold on, I had to scroll higher. Oh, 150 million, completely dominating the PS4 and Xbox One as the pendulum that is the gaming industry continued to swing. But it's 2025 now. Shit changes. I mean, badly, but it's also more powerful than this phone, and that's not a joke. So clearly, it was time for an upgrade, which should be announced in January of 2025. As on the 16th of January, after 8 years of the Switch being Nintendo's only mainline console and years of fans begging them to because the Steam Deck was running Nintendo's own engine, they finally announced the Nintendo Switch 2 with fancy gimmicks on it used to Nintendo like the motion Wii or remote to TV with the U or in 3D that everyone turned off. Just an improved and beefed up version of the Switch like you see from Xbox. I get that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I sold 150 million units of something that was working, I wouldn't. This is an understandable move. And with this announcement, we got the design, and that's it. Folks wait till April, which would be here in no time. With the Nintendo Direct revealing everything that there is to know about the Switch 2, except for the price. Like Mario Kart, the first new game in the series, the year showing off all the new driving mechanics, the Forza style, and the world characters like Owl, and the Bigfoot that is from the West, Fishbone, how do they drive you a car? All for the price of. Okay, never mind. The C button. We finally get to figure out what this does after months of people speculating, and what it does is Discord. And no, literally, that's just fucking Discord. Voice calls and party chats with your friends. All with a Nintendo Switch online membership. 1999 a year to use fucking voice chat. And if you don't pay that, this button is literally just taking a for no reason. Without a subscription, its only purpose is to tell you about the subscription. Confirmed by Nintendo's Bill Trendon. When you click the button without paying, you are redirected to a page that gives you details on how to sign up for Switch Online. Details like give Nintendo money, motherfucker. Literal advertisement button. They might as well 2 horizontal lines to the C button so that it
like this. Because that's basically what Nintendo's asking us to do here. Microsoft was greedy making us pay to play online a decade ago. Sony was just as greedy following the trend. Nintendo was greedy for making us pay to speak to our friends after being 20 years late to the feature. Go check it out. I found you in the public. Okay, Nintendo says, can phone calls do this? What am I looking at? This is the best that they can get it to run for the trailer? Good God, what's it gonna look like in person? $19.99 a year for a 5 FPS screen share. Meanwhile, Discord can share their screen for free at the same resolution as the Switch 1, and that's not a joke. But hey, that's fixed with the Switch 2. 1080p, 120 FPS screen. Not bad. Hold on, man. Hold on. No, the LCD screen is more vivid. With the Joy-Con analog sticks there. It takes a string.
Basically just grinding anything and everything. Trying to was doing a little bit of the Gilgamesh quest because I wanted to do that, get that out the way. See, I just want to get this one out the way because this one was a lot easier.
The LCD screen is more vivid. With the Joy-Con analog sticks there. Larger. That's all they said. That's all they said about the analog sticks during the presentation. That's it. Left and right sticks are now larger. What about the stick drift? Both the left and right Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls. Sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer. Have you fixed the stick drift? The answer is they didn't, as one asked if the new console was going to use Hall effect analog sticks specifically made to prevent stick drift. The senior vice president of product development, Nate Hindra, said that the analog sticks are developed from the ground up before going on a tangent about how comfortable and quiet they are, something nobody asked, what we would call a deflection, so they don't have to answer the actual question, which means congratulations, we will continue to have to buy a new pair of controllers every fucking year after the last one breaks. And how much will we be paying every year? Forget about that. Nintendo Switch 2, welcome to a game made to showcase all the Switch 2's new features and guide the player through the new system. They just got $4. Obviously, there be a toss of price for this, as it's a fucking tech demo like Wii Sports or Astronaut's Playroom. Making us pay for that would be fucking ridiculous.
Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour will launch as a paid digital game on the same day as Nintendo Switch 2.
$10. This will cost $10. Of course, this wasn't said in the direct, but why would it be? But it was revealed after that this tech demo will not come packaged like what they've done before with games that are 20 times more replayable and superior, but instead will cost $10. And if you don't want to hear this unqualified white guy complain about how ridiculous that is, okay, how about these other qualified men? Former president of Sony.
What do you think about this decision to charge $10 for this game?
And the former president of Nintendo of America. Reggie's body was not ready for that. When even CEOs are baffled by this choice, you are being overly greedy. Oh, look, that means the cartridge is red. And they're releasing the console on June 5th. Okay, how much? No. How much is this? Shut up. And they're offering upgraded versions of Switch 1 games, sort of like Sony and Xbox did with the Series X and 5. Improved visuals, frame rate, and even new features all for free unless you're Sony. But after all the controversy that happened with the PS5 and their $10 upgrade, surely Nintendo will go the Xbox route and make it free.
Already own the Nintendo Switch version of the game. You can play the Nintendo Switch 2 version by purchasing an upgrade pack.
My backhand, it's weak. And from this point on, they basically just show off upcoming games for the system, as well as a GameCube controller, which I shit you not, is only available to Nintendo Switch Online members. And if you don't have that, then you don't fucking know. I guess it'll just refuse to fucking connect. Maybe if you try to Bluetooth pair it redirects you to the store again, like they probably do with the C button, which is also on here. A subscription lock button on a subscription lock controller, followed by a game that looks like an off-brand Bloodborne, but obviously just some other studio parodying the. It's for it to be an 8 player multiplayer game. So, and ending with the reveal of Kirby Air Raiders returning and a fantastic showcase of the amazing looking Donkey Kong Bonanza that had a suspicious lack of Diddy Kong. Free Diddy, he did nothing but, okay, with a solid library of games and dozens more that I may even mention launching with the system before revealing the versions of the Switch 2 available on launch.
For more details, please check the official Nintendo Switch 2 website, which goes live later today. We've covered a lot of information, but that's all we have to share for today.
Lots of things discovered that Nintendo was shadily hiding, not mentioning or beating around the bush because they knew this was going to be the result. Justified outrage at the fact that Nintendo was bumping up the MSRP of games from $70 to $80 for Mario Kart. Not some fucking big, advanced, innovative game that pushes the boundaries of the industry, but a racing game that has a big map. But because it's Mario Kart, the franchise is such a fucking phenomenon that no matter what, no matter how much of a storm the community bitches up, Nintendo will feel comfortable enough to price it out whatever the fuck they want because they know its general audience will buy it and up without thinking twice about it. And unfortunately, they're probably fucking right because this exact scenario happened 4 years ago. As allow me to ask you, what was the MSRP of gaming 1 generation ago? How about that? $60, $10 less than it is right now, an MSRP that lasted for nearly 2 fucking decades when Activision bumped up the price from 50 to 60 with Call of Duty 2. Some things never fucking change, and since that increase in 2005 with the 7th Gen 360 PS3 and Wii, AAA gaming costed $60. Whatever happened to that? How do we go from $59.99 for a decade to suddenly jump to the oral sex price? All it took was a little fucking LeBron as 2K of all fucking games that could have possibly made the Switch a fucking basketball game that's identical to the one they released 12 months before for $60, just randomly announced that NBA 2K21 was gonna cost $69.99 on next-gen consoles due to, quote, increased development cost.
How long will it take you to achieve financial freedom? 30 years? 20 years? What if you could compress that timeline to just 3 to 5 years? At the American Dream Rally in Dallas on June 18th, our expert team will reveal the roadmap to financial independence that most Americans never discover. Tony Rosenbaum, a decorated Marine veteran turned real estate entrepreneur, will show you how to build wealth on a timeline that fits your goals until retirement age.
And after that announcement, Sony to follow suit, releasing their first-party games at $70, and here we are. Thank you, sports fans. Not only have you fucked the industry with microtransactions, you fucked us with a higher MSRP, and you fucked yourself by getting scammed into buying the same game every year. And that's where we've been ever since, and the crossroads we find ourselves in right now, just 4 years later. Last time it took nearly 20 fucking years for us to make the MSRPs going up. This time it took 4. These greedy fucks to want more, which is why Mario Kart World is $80, meanwhile Donkey Kong Bonanza is still $70, because Nintendo is fucking around. They're fucking to find out how much they can get away with. Donkey Kong's fan base is more niche and more hardcore and more willing to throw a ruckus and vote with their wallet compared to Mario Kart, which is filled with casuals, and I don't mean that as an insult, but it's made up of people who just don't have the same level of awareness over the air, people who care with the broader gaming industry, you fully realize how bad this price tag is, how badly Nintendo is fucking us over, especially by the way fucking basic price, expecting us to pay $10 more for games we were going to offer the newly taken cards simply as the name change implies a key drive around the holding of the internet in the exact way that you would have done if you bought it digitally. The game is not on the cartridge. At the internet comes out, you can simply download the cartridge and play the fundamental version of the game. There's no game on it. It simply allows you to download the digital version of the game. It's no different than scratching up the code gift card. What is the point? I am paying $30 for the physical version to perform an extra step in grabbing the case, taking out the card, and popping it into the console every time I want to play a game. I am genuinely myself, there's a gain of nothing. I hate myself, but not this much. The entire point of physical copies, of physical versions of a game, is that we physically own that copy. We own that. We legally own that one. We own it. You can't take that away from me. Ubisoft cannot break into my house and snatch my copy of The Crew or Assassin's Creed Liberation like they could on Steam. We own that game, no matter what. If in 10 years the PS4 servers go offline, I will still be able to play the 1.0 version of the game that I bought, downloaded onto the disc. Meanwhile, in 30 fucking years when the Switch 2 servers go offline, you know that the norm to fucking nothing. Thanks for the $80, you dumb fuck. The physical version of the game that you bought is now a worthless piece of fucking plastic because Nintendo decided to end all access to the game that we thought we bought, but not actually is renting for a few decades before they take it away. They started busting the Switch by. We no longer own our games, and Nintendo is trying to get us to pay $10 more for something that we do not own. And only that, they're trying to get us to pay more for games that we already fucking own. Games that are already fucking released. For games that are already decade fucking old. It's not to be Switch games are in the Switch unpaid for an undiscussed fucking price between customers fucking extras and most of the things fucking up, especially the Sony already tried it. PS5 and saw that controversy with Horizon's $10 PS5 upgrade to get slightly better graphics and FPS. Nintendo knows that this shit fixes us all. 100% seen it with the wrong eyes. Yet they proceeded to do it anyway. And not only do it, but somehow make it worse. Now, based on one game's $10 price of the entirety of the touch and relating an FPS, but for certain games that have something not to play, Mario Party Jamboree and fucking those games are getting a $20 price increase. $80 unless Mario Party Jamboree has Pixel Edition Jamboree TV, requires an additional $50 camera just to function. Mario Party Jamboree like full game requires package and RT costs. Why did you choose that? At the very least, you can say that those Switch 1 games add some new content to justify the $20 upgrade and $80 price tag. Old games, maybe you can justify that. How the fuck do you justify Super the King of John's fucking above us to pay what did the game get? Traditional phones and no new features. Lighting upgrades, clear FPS. That is why Tears of the Kingdom is not to be considered life. As 8-year-old,
More savings, more special offers. That's what. Join today.
We're back to
oh, next in to go. Breath of the Wild, which costed $60 at the time of its release in 2017, is not going down in price like every other game of its fucking year. Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, Exhibit 4, Exhibit 5. Sony, even Sony, this Sony, that Sony, even Sony, will price of their AAA exclusives dropped at $10 bucks. But no, not Nintendo. No boy, not Nintendo. Not only do they fucking refuse to drop the price of the games released in that same time frame, but they are increasing the price. The Switch 2 version of Breath of the Wild is nothing but graphics and FPS. Look how much better the Switch 2 version looks. I'm showing you the Switch 1 version, receiving nothing at best. Individual change and being charged $70 for the 10-year game, but at the very least, we're buying a complete edition of the game. You know, the 10 years later, the game gets released, all the bundle and everyone is years only seen for the Switch 2, the exact same system, releasing at $70 and including the DLC and all the new updates that make it actually playable into a new package. Everyone does this, so at the very least, we're getting the version with all its installed content.
Yeah, no. That,
existence, even amongst the greediest companies, at the very least add the fucking DLC, as well as tickets to a garbage movie, and not have the balls to reach with their hand and ask for more money. And more often than not, were even discounted from the $60 to $70 MSRP because they were 5-10-year-old games at that point. Nintendo is not only not dropping the price, they are charging more on a lackluster re-release, and they're selling the post-launch content separately as well. Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is basically a whole ass remake, just released for $60, and it has every single DLC included. Amidst all this controversy, Nintendo was forced into their response to it, and they had such an easy out. It was fucking hand-fed to them. Tariffs. Literally just say we had to up the prices because of tariffs. It's an obvious lie because these prices were known 7 months ago. Before we were liberated from Russia. Until farther smoke show that a decent amount of people actually bought it. I just straight up admitted that yes, we had fucking breathed. Like, credit for your honesty, I guess. It's Nintendo fairness president, fucking Bowser, named it's just saying, because that's what Nintendo is right now. The villains of the gaming industry. In these interviews, Nintendo was asked about the $80 price tag, to which they responded that it is due to variable pricing and not, I repeat, not because Nintendo knows Mario Kart is such a massive franchise that fans will buy it no matter what and make Nintendo more money. I repeat, that is not why it's $80. It's because of variable pricing. And what that term that Bowser essentially made up means is that the new Mario Kart is such a fucking an expansive and innovative game that it deserves hell. It fucking murdered that $10 increase, $80 price. Like, see, Big World, you can ignore that. Battle Royale, my game, but look, new tricks, racing. You try to money while Xbox is such a piece of fucking shit or garbage that's only worth 70 because it's too fucking massive to be needed. Unlike the 2-year-old Tears of the Kingdom because they added a fucking app, so now it's better and more worth it than brand new Donkey Kong. And when asked about how the $80 price tag could set a precedent for the larger gaming industry, Nintendo essentially said they're a larger gaming essentially saying that it's not about setting a precedent for the industry, it's about deciding what things do for its products or what pricing should be for its products overall. It's ours by you cannot say that. You cannot say this is just something else in the industry by saying shit like you can't see other games that might be released by other publishers. You cannot sit here and try to assume responsibility for when Activision ups the prices because of you. You cannot sit here and pretend that your fucking policy didn't influence those other publishers because you are fucking Nintendo. You are the industry leader. All of your decisions, all of your policies affect those other publishers or platforms because you cannot act and pretend like EA isn't currently salivating at the idea of selling their fucking games at $80 a pop because of the precedent you are setting. You cannot try to lie and say, oh, well, we've been doing this for years. What's the big deal? We've been using variable pricing since the Switch, like you do since it's later, because that is a bull-faced fucking lie, and you fucking know it. Even in the previous generation, we had some variability. No, you did not have some variability. You had one variability if we're being generous. Tears of the Kingdom. That is the only one. That is the only game that you priced at $70 instead of the usual $60. And would you notice that was 2 years after 2K had already set the MSRP at that. That's why nobody cared at that point. If you truly had some variability like you want to pretend, then ours would have been $30 to $40. The Mario Sports Series 2. Instead, those were all fully $60, unless your variable pricing means that games could only be $60 to $90, which is fucking convenient for you. Otherwise, do not fucking sit here and pretend like none of this is new and that you've always done this because no, you have not. You've never set one of your games at above MSRP because it's what your arbitrary variable price demanded. You're just being fucking greedy and seeing how much money you can siphon from your fan base. And if it's too much, well, unfortunately, Bowser has a product for people who aren't able to afford the Switch too. It's called the Switch. Aren't able to afford the Switch too. It's called the Switch. That is actually what Bowser essentially said in response to these insane prices. He took a page out of Dogmatic, which is potentially the worst thing that you could possibly say. And if you disagree, go ask Microsoft, still recovering from the Xbox One reveal a decade later, why. Go ask Dogmatic, who no longer works at Xbox, guys. Suddenly calling your fans broke bitches who should stick with a decade of hardware that's not going to be supported because they can't afford your exuberant prices is seeking revenge. It's not just the price of the Switch 2 that we're outraged about, as Bowser will like to pretend. We are talking about a $450 console with an added $10 digital instruction manual, showcasing things like the $90 Joy-Con previous that you'll still be buying every year after they break in 12 months because Nintendo doesn't want to pay for Hall Effect analog. And if you don't want to use this uncomfortable ass setup when your system is done, then you gotta buy an $80 Pro controller, $10 more than the last year, use 3 5 FPS and fucking play games online, or use a whole ass physical GameCube remote, which is also fucking subscription locked. And let's not forget a $50 micro SD card, which you are going to fucking need because it's a $20 upgrade for Switch 1 games that you've already fucking bought. And if you haven't bought them, then $80 for 1 to 3-year-old games, one of which needing a $50 camera just to function, and another selling its DLC separately, so another $20 on top of that, and any future games that come out after that, $80 for Switch 2 games that you do not even fucking own, and I promise you will lose access to in the future. This is genuine fucking highway robbery. We are fucked.
The Nintendo Switch 2 has been announced, and gotta say, the last time I bought a Nintendo product, it's actually funny. I have it right here. This is the last Nintendo product I purchased, okay? It is a Pro Controller for the Switch, I think, but it has a USB port, so I just plug it into my computer to play, like, PC games. And I only got it because it was at Marshall's for about $7. It is the cheapest piece of plastic you could possibly find. It feels like it's cheap, because it is cheap. But out of Nintendo products, the things that I'm wanting to purchase right now, if I read the list, it's a blank list. There's nothing.
There's not a damn thing.
Simply because I'm not interested. I'm not interested in anything they're selling right now for a while. I enjoyed Nintendo products. I like the games they make. I like the consoles they produce. But the Nintendo Switch, I mean, like, the Switch 2 is looking terrible. I have to be honest. The features they've been advertising have been terrible. The actual console itself doesn't seem that revolutionary, especially doesn't seem that much of an upgrade from the previous model. If you look at the company itself, like if you look at the way that they treat their audience, their customer base, the people that enjoy their systems and their IPs, it's just unacceptable. And it's certainly not warranting the price point of the Nintendo Switch 2, which I think is, what, $700? No, it's like $600. I wanted to watch this video. Do not buy the Nintendo Switch 2, because I wasn't going to buy the Nintendo Switch 2, but especially after seeing what has been done recently, it's never happening.
Nintendo is an awful company. They have truly become the purest form of cancer in this entire industry, and here's why. Charging $80 for a video game isn't just ridiculous, but it's dangerous. It's setting a precedent for games to cost more and more seriously.
$80 for Mario Kart World. Now, just to put it into perspective, to give you some context, $80 20 years ago, like that could have been groceries. And if you look at $80 now, because of like rampant inflation, shrinkflation as well, getting less and paying the same price, this is, I mean, what do I even say about this?
It couldn't possibly be any more anti-consumer. Nobody gives this company enough credit for how scummy they actually are and have been for years. Mario 3D World launches on Wii U for $60. Later is discounted as a Nintendo Select for $20, gets ported to Switch for $60.
Okay, so the problem with this, it isn't that it's just like basically a scam. You're paying for an old game, but it's the same price that it was when it's was originally launched. The problem isn't that they've just maintained the price of like a decade-old game. It's that they're trying to make you think that you aren't paying the same price for a decade-old game. The issue is when you look at the $60 Super Mario 3D World on Wii U, and you were like, okay, that was $60 in 2014, and then you look at this one, and it's $60 in 2025, you're made to believe that you're not getting scammed, because half the cover of the box has Bowser's Fury on it, right? It's more content. The reality is they spent about 5 hours on the box here and about 0 hours on the content. You're paying the same amount of money for a 10-year-old game because it was ported and repackaged, but the content is the exact same. There is no reason that this should be a $60 game. It should be $15 because of, if you look at the drop being linear with time, as it's gone down from it was now a third of this price because of the way that time works, and there are new games coming out, the older games become less and less valuable. This should be $10, and it should cost less in like a bundle or something like that, but it doesn't, and the fact that it doesn't is extra bad when you realize that they're trying to make it seem like this is actually a fair price with this market. It's crazy. It's shameless.
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze launches at $50, is discounted to $20, gets ported to Switch for $60. Luigi's Mansion 2 launches on 3DS for $40 in 2013, discounted to $20 in 2016, and gets ported to Switch for $60 in 2025.
It's more than the original at this point, and we have to be serious at a certain. I mean, like, come on. You can't make it the same price, but you extra cannot make it more than the original. And the fact that they do this, it's demoralizing to fans of the company. Because when you are whipped and beaten down for just enjoying something, why would you even want to enjoy it? If enjoying something feels like a chore, then you're not going to enjoy it. To be fair, on the Wii U, they were desperate to sell the game because the console sold like crap. Well, obviously, if the system has no buyers, the games for the system will have no buyers, and so they have to discount it. And they did the opposite with the Switch. It's one of their best-selling consoles, and so they thought to themselves, wait a second, the console that had these games that we made, no one bought them, so no one bought the games. But on this console that we did sell, we can just take the games that no one bought because of the console limitations and put them on this console. Either way, making it the same price, it's unacceptable. And I feel like they should have to answer for that. Right? When are they going to have to say, we basically think it's a good cash grab? Because that is the honest answer.
$60 for a 12-year-old 3DS using the cost of $20. And it's so lazily ported that the game is filled with bugs and graphical glitches. Stop buying these games. Every dollar you spend on Nintendo is just one more reason for them to charge you more for less. You buying this is telling them that I will buy this quality of the game at this price regardless of its age. So what do we have now? Well, we have a console that meets the bare minimum. 4K output. That's something I would expect standard from a console in 2016, let alone 2025. 120 Hz. To be expected. Although it's nice to know that whatever power this thing is pumping, it ain't enough to do 4K and 120 at the same time. I guess we'll just have to wait another 9 years for that. A 1080 console. Jeez, I fucking hope so. And a few other little additions that just barely scrape the standards of today's consoles. But what about those accessories? Of course, we now have built-in game chat being accessible through this button.
So this is one of the features that they're touting. They have voice chat, so this is the button. You click this button and you have access to voice chat. Discord's been out for more than a decade. These guys were pioneers of video games, and honestly technology overall, and they've just integrated a fucking mic button. Are we serious?
Altitude State, the most innovative tech company in our time.
The fact that they're touting this as a feature worth buying, when you look at the price point, you stop. But when you look at the fact that the price point of the console doesn't even tell the whole story, you start to wonder, hold on a second. Are you telling me that I have to pay to use the voice chat button that's on this controller? And then they say, well, of course, we're Nintendo. We worship Satan. That's what we do. And then you're like, wow, okay. So I'm overpaying for a system that has specs of like, a system that a 2022 Steam Deck has or whatever. And you're telling me that that's not even, I'm not even just overpaying anymore. I'm overpaying and then I have to pay for basically DLC on the hardware. That is a disease. And I think the cure is to just not buy it. And I know you'll keep giving it to yourself because you're oftentimes a Nintendo fan that will hand-wave a lot of this bad behavior. It's true, there are people out there that are such Nintendo fans that they just, they'll rationalize a lot of these terrible decisions in some of like the weirdest ways possible, but then by making it seem like they're doing something that no one else is doing or whatever, and it's just like, a lot of these Nintendo fan channels, I'm not going to name any names, but you can go find them. They just excuse this sort of stuff because Nintendo's brainwashed them, and it's crazy.
Of course, we now have built-in game chat being accessible through this button. The new smooth camera.
This is literally YouTube camera, by the way. And it looks like shit as well.
But of course, a Nintendo Switch Online membership is required. So this button is completely useless unless you pay money.
Which is also, he's going to say it's a subscription. So you have to basically get billed every single month to use a fucking button on the controller. What do I even say to that? If that isn't a case of just pure greed and evil, I don't know what it is. I mean, you're charging people who have purchased your product a monthly subscription to continue to use the hardware. That's insane. And it's worth noting that they've touted this video calling system, this integration, as something new as well. It's just Discord. And it looks bad. The green screen or whatever they're using here looks bad too. And it's also pretty concerning when you think about the fact that these are all paid actors that had been propped in front of actual studio-grade green screens in order to make this commercial. And it's still not even like fully cropping them out in a way that is nice on it's easy on the eye. Can Nintendo not strike a deal with Discord to integrate the Discord application into the software? Well, why would they? Do they strike deals with other publishers to get their games on there? Not really. I mean, I can't play Resident Evil on the Switch. I feel like that's true, right? Okay, there's like the original Resident Evil. This remake of the first entry in the long-running Resident Evil series is now playable in HD, but they don't want to strike a deal with Discord when they can just do it for themselves, because they're going to have to pay Discord for like a hosting service if they pay them, and they don't want to. Why would they do that?
By participating in video calls featuring the shitty virtual green screen pass, 3 frames per second streaming, and only 4 minutes of latency, all for the low price of at least $20 annually, and of course $50 for the TV quality USB camera.
This is beyond defensible. Even a third grader could think to themselves, wait a second, this seems a little overpriced. Also, like, aesthetically it looks like shit. Where do you put this? On your TV stand? Nintendo's main audience for... They're joking about the latency, by the way. So I'm dumb. Can someone explain latency? Latency is just the delay between when you talk and when they receive the audio. He's joking about it being 4 minutes. That's just not true. But when Nintendo knows that their audience demographic and their player base is like mostly children, and then mad children, but mostly children, the new system and whatever game that they release with it are going to be on everyone's Christmas list. If you're a kid and you want the next Mario Kart, you're going to beg your parents for it. And you're going to keep nagging your parents. And your parents wanting to be good parents or do something good for their kids on Christmas, they're going to just sigh at the price, and then they're going to bite the bullet to make you happy as like a stock. And I'm just so disgusted with the fact that Nintendo, they're going to do this because they know that they can make it $100, they can make it $50. The amount that the kids ask for it is going to be the same. Like, the kid has no concept of the price, so when they look at it being 50 or 100, they're going to beg their parents just as much. And so, you know, that's the most shameless part of the, I don't want to say it's predatory, but, you know, it's just the market.
Now inviting friends to parties is all done on the system. No need for complicated instructions on hundreds of headphone jacks.
I have a feeling that they think they're dying out as a brand, so they're trying to make as much money as possible. None of the children in my family care about Nintendo. That is a possibility. I don't know how they've been performing as a company, to be honest. I would just assume that part of this new release has to do with trying to meet some sort of like quota in terms of earnings and stuff, because I don't know, like, in my opinion, when you looked at the Wii and then the Wii U, you failed miserably, I would have thought, like, okay, they would have learned specifically on not making sequels to consoles, because making a sequel, it makes it so that there are people who are just gonna, like, not buy it. Like, no one bought the Wii U, because it was the Wii 2, right? And everyone was happy with their Wii. The Switch sold really well, and so I'm confused why they're making a Switch 2. And so it makes me think that they're a little bit desperate for something. I could be wrong. Maybe they're not desperate, but if they're launching a new console and it's another sequel console, then they better back down the hatches. Like, it's not going to sell as well as the Switch. It just won't. Like, it just won't. I just don't understand what they're trying to do here if they're not struggling.
I'm sure we can all trust that Nintendo's accessories will be company that made these after all, and these have a long history of functioning properly right. But now, I have a new issue. The Nintendo Switch 2 just has so many new features that have been standard for years, and the only piece of hardware I'm familiar with is this Leapfrog. So how can I learn all about these new features? Well, fret not, jackass. All you need is the Nintendo Switch 2 button for it, all for the low price of $10. Fret not, jackass. All you need is the Nintendo Switch 2 button for it, all for the low price of $10. Wow, remember the good old days when you would get a new console and dig around with the built-in software? These types of software are so important because they'll always be the consumers' first impressions of the system. Everyone will always remember playing around with Big Chat and PS.
Yeah. I mean, these are classic.
Face Raiders, like puzzle pieces in the Street Pass Plaza on 3DS. You'll remember screwing around with Bubbling Park on the PS Vita, Playroom on PS4 and PSVR, Nintendo Land on Wii U, and of course,
Yeah, Nintendo Land was actually fun. Like, for what it's worth, you know, the Wii U as a system didn't flop, but it's just nostalgia. I am aware of this when I say it, but I had fun with it. And I had fun with Nintendo Land. It was fun. I'd play like the Metro Land game, and it was a blast.
famous pack-in tech demo, Wii Sports. Such a simple and light game. You just cannot think about the Wii without thinking about Wii Sports. And what did we just teach Nintendo? We just taught Nintendo that if you take a 16-year-old tech demo and cheaply repaint it with content missing at launch, then we will gladly pay $60 for it. Think about this. A free game from 2006. A $60 game from 2022. This is fucking disgusting. There is no soul behind this game. It's graphically unimpressive in both its art style and visual output.
Right.
You know what's sad? This isn't even the first time they did this. Go back to 2013 with Wii Sports Really? The same deal. Suddenly a free tech demo costs $50. At the very least, this game looks good. Everything about its visuals is just beautiful. And it felt good, like human beings with pulses worked on it. Jump ahead 10 years and you get this slot. So what about the Nintendo Switch 2? Does it get a tech demo? Well, the original...
Don't forget the shitty Kinect games that came with the 360. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, like, those are the games that, like, for most people, they need something. Like, it's what they associate with them getting the console. And so, even though they might be pieces of shit, like, they're classics. You know, like, think about a terrible movie that you used to watch, and you look back and it's unwatchable, but you enjoyed it at the time. And so, even though it's terrible, it's still a classic. Like, Alvin and the Chipmunks is like, I mean, it's just completely garbage, but at the end of the day, it's, for a lot of people, one of their first movies they saw in the theater. They're like Gen Z, because it came out in 2008. You're Gen Z, maybe you're born like 2000, 2002, 2004. So you're like, what, 7 or 6, going to the movie theater, and you're watching this complete hogwash. But it actually was nice because it was a moment in your development where it's a milestone, right? And this stuff is the same thing. And so it's just crazy how they're trying to like monetize it now in a way that kind of defeats the entire purpose. Like, it's a tutorial. Why are you paying for the tutorial? It doesn't make any sense. When you're like that, Nintendo is desperate, or they're falling, and they're just trying to like cash in while they can. This sort of stuff makes that narrative all the more true, or believable, I should say. Because what the fuck am I looking at? What? You're shaving with a Joy-Con? Who the fuck would pay for this?
A $50 piece of shit that was fun one time ever, and that was when it launched and you wanted a break from Zelda.
So, you paid $50 to hold a Joy-Con to your face and pretend that it's a razor. What I'm trying to understand is for the children that are 5 to 10 years old that just want to salivate and play Mario Brothers, what is the point of making this and charging money for it? Because this will get played by the 5 to 10 year olds that are tired of playing Mario Brothers and want something to play around with their system, right? But that's about it.
I genuinely remember the only
What? Put the little one to bed? So there's a baby on the Switch tablet and you're holding it.
And hey, how about a sequel to a tech demo that takes the idea of being garbage and asks for another $50? So how about that Switch 2? This time around, we got Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, a tech demo more focused on the hardware and teaching you what it does and how to use it. And you have to pay for it. That is the most...
You're paying for a YouTube video, by the way. This is what this is. You're paying for a YouTube video, and they are more than happy to charge you for it. And that's the problem. Like, they should be scared as fuck to put a price tag on this. The way that people are boycotting Tesla, some of that energy, you know, not the vandalism, not the borderline terrorist behavior, needs to be directed toward Nintendo. It just does. Like, there needs to be boycotts from the source. You can't have companies that the majority of their profit is coming from children doing things so, I don't want to use the word exploited, but I'm failing to find another word for it. Like, this is exploited. It just is.
Unbelievable shit. I'm paying $450 for your uninnovative money vacuum.
And they know that kids can't boycott. Like, who are the kids going to get mad at? Nintendo for making it the price? Or the parents for not paying the price? They're going to get mad at their own moms and dads. And that, to me, is... That is...
Now we have game sharing, which is a nice addition. But of course, it's nothing new. You've been able to play local multiplayer games by streaming your games to a friend's console on PlayStation for years. This being an option on Switch is nice, and it even works locally. But even then, they act as if it's new. It's not even new for them. You can share your game locally to others, which is all like in the game. Wow, it's just like download play? You mean like that thing I could do 20 years ago for free on a DS? And now you get this mess. Only Switch 2 systems can share games, with both generations can receive gameplay. Of course. That's nice. Remember how the 3DS had download?
This is optional, by the way. If the hardware is compatible, then it should work. I mean, this is just like this. We're not going to allow this so that you'll have to buy it, right?
Both generations.
Like 100%. The Switch 2, because it's newer, would have the hardware to make it so that it could receive from this.
Remember how the 3DS had download play with other 3DS systems and DS systems, and there was just no need for any other explanation because nothing about it. Virtual game cards are so anti-consumer, it's ridiculous.
I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is having a rough start. There's a mixed bag. I'll still get it at some point, just not at launch. The problem is that it would have to have some of the best exclusives known to mankind, right? I think what is exciting is the fact that this will undersell almost guarantees us a new Super Smash Bros. I think the problem with this being a sequel console is going to make it so that what's going to carry the sales of the system will be the exclusives. Like, the new Smash will be probably pretty good, hopefully. They have to make it fucking good to get me to buy it, right? To buy the system. They're probably going to have to come out with some new iterations of like their best performing IPs, and maybe that'll be good, but will it be good enough to make me buy it? I don't know. To make me buy it, I don't know. We'll wait. What digital games could be
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I'm sitting here with my digital game library. Out of my mind. Should it be the other way around? I wish that physical games could be as flexible as being as digital ones. If I have 3 Switches, I can download my entire digital.
Why? The notion is that it's inconvenient to own digital copies of games, but that's like the opposite. So this guy talking from Nintendo, everything he's saying is predicated on something that is just not true.
The library on all of them, and play any game at any time on whichever console I choose. What about that isn't flexible and convenient? So now all your digital games can be loaded and unloaded from system to system every time you want to play them. Wow, well isn't that just an absolute nightmarish headache? Imagine how much fun it'll be sitting with your systems loading and unloading different games so you have what you want on the right consoles, but not at the same time. Why not just say, we don't like people sharing accounts for their game libraries because we want to sell more copies of our overpriced soulless garbage. And you gotta love how they act as if this is a win for the consumers.
Honestly, the only reason I would buy the Switch 2 is maybe for Animal Crossing or Splatoon 4, but overall it's a waste of money. Because if you buy the Switch, it's like, what, 400 USD, and a game with it, nearly 500. And if you want an online membership, they'll probably close to be 530. They'll probably raise the price of the membership. Yeah, I mean, well, this is just what I'm saying, where the hardware itself, for what they're touting, you know, they're saying that it's 120 hertz, 120 FPS, 4K, it's got more storage. There's nothing about are not going to come from people that are really going to believe in this next-gen hardware, because it's really not next-gen hardware. It's going to be for people that get on their hands and knees and pray that the exclusives and that the games this is going to host are going to be fucking good. And I don't know if they're going to be fucking good. Like, I just don't. The last time, you know, that Nintendo game was Mario Wonder, which is funny because that's the one that they're showing here, right? That was the one that was on the game card or something. Yeah, it's right here. And it makes sense. I mean, it's a good game. I would be flexed if I, you know, developed that as well. But you need to do like 10 more of those because you have to account for the fact that sales for this are going to be low. You're going to be disappointed. If you're working at like the data analytics for Nintendo, you have to look and you have to think, hey guys, can we make sure that like the games for this are the main selling point? Because looking at the hardware and you look at a controller, and it's like no one's gonna buy this. And so if they are, it's gonna be for the promise of a good game, which I don't know if they can do. They did Switch, but who knows? You know. Just boycott Nintendo at this point? I mean, like, you almost have to consider it. And I've been boycotting them without even knowing it, because I haven't been sold on a single fucking thing they made, you know? That shitty controller, then Wonder was good, but like, okay, let's be adults here. Let's understand that, like, you know, you have to consistently make new and better shit. They will always, See, you might be looking at like $1,000 for multiple games. That's insane, bro. You're spending a ban on a console that's improved. Yeah, just justify the cost. Of course not. Like anyone justifying the cost is getting paid to do so. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. Like all of these Nintendo fans on YouTube that are going to be justifying the cost in like the next few months, pay very close attention. If you're in this world, if you're part of the side of YouTube, pay very close attention to what creators are selling this to you, what creators are pushing back against it. Because the people who are going to be selling it to you are totally compromised. Their interests are totally compromised. These are going to be the Nintendo creators that get the badges and their flights paid to whatever expo they're hosting. When the new system has playtests and demos and stuff like that, like E3 adjacent stuff, I know E3's over, but like Nintendo conventions and shit like this, where they're going to allow creators in, the types of creators they're going to allow in are going to be the types of people that have blazed the fuck out of these great decisions the companies continue to make, and that's all I'm going to say. Just pay attention. And honestly, pay attention to what people aren't saying. If you notice, Nintendo creators in the next month's not saying anything negative about the Switch or whatever, the Switch 2, if they're silent about it, they may as well be greenlighting a lot of this stuff. And I'm not saying that silence is compliance and stuff, but if you are a channel that focuses on Nintendo-related things, and there is very bad things happening with Nintendo that are being talked about by a lot of people, and you're not talking about it on purpose, well, you're painting a narrative, and you are doing Nintendo's work yourself. So, and the games for $80 is a scam. The console, not really. I think it's a relatively fair price for $450. Well, I have a question for you. What's the point of the console if you can't fucking buy the games? Like what? And that's even agreeing that the console is a scam. The console is a scam. The Switch itself was less money on launch. The Nintendo Switch launched at a price of $299. It was $300 for a Switch. The Switch 2 is $450. Do you understand the problem with that? There has not been $150 worth of upgrades. And the games, there has not been $30 worth of upgrades. We need to make this make sense. We do. We need to make this make sense.
Imagine how much fun it will be sitting in this. Why not just say, we don't like people sharing accounts for their gameplay. We want to sell more copies of what price sold as garbage. You're gonna love when they act as if this is a win for the consumers. You could hand over digital games to people within your family group for a maximum of 14 days without any absence. Are you out of your fucking mind? I'd imagine that if you're in a family with someone, probably close enough where you can find signing into your account on their consoles and they can access your entire library. So this is a great way to show monetization into one of the most basic concepts of owning software. So with that on the way, we have even more great news. Digital key cards. For select specific games, the cartridge will only hold the license. If you want to actually play it, you have to download it with an internet connection. No sad name is going on anymore. I've seen people try to defend this, saying that most people are spreading misinformation, but there is nothing to argue with. This is directly from Nintendo's website. Game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key card is your quote-unquote key downloading the full game to your system via the internet.
So this is just a gift card. It's a gift card.
This is the game that is staying on. This is a physical game card that is the only way I am allowed to access the account. But this way, share digital copies. Wow, so there's nothing in this. That is the scenario that people are trying to do that. The scenario that Nintendo has given themselves and the developers the option to have control over the rest of not only your digital games, but now your physical games.
So what this is also doing is making it so that I'm trying to understand fully. Is this making it so that you're buying it, if you have a digital game copy, you're buying it in a physical case, and it's only on this one system forever? Like that one license is only for this one system? Because if you buy a digital game, you can utilize the account that you bought the game with just on different systems. Like if you're switching rights, you have the account that you bought the game, just read out whatever other system you want. Is this making it so that you can't do that? I'm just begging you to misunderstand. This is giving you like a one-time download key, basically? No, it's not? Okay. Well, then try to understand. Because a lot of games are only available on digital now. That's just like, That's going to keep being the case. That's not going to change anytime soon. Physical games are making less and less sense for people on the digital games. That's something else. That's something else. What else is happening? I'm trying to understand. Chat help me.
That is the scenario that people are trying to defend. The scenario that Nintendo has given themselves and developers the option to have control over the license, not only their digital games, but now their physical games too. Truly incredible. Nothing is
game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key is your key to downloading the full game to your system via the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the game key card in your system and starting it like a standard physical game card. Okay, I understand that.
This is a physical game card with a license on it. That is the only way I am allowed to access my downloading.
Wait a second. So you use the game key card to download the game, and then you need to keep the game key card after the game's downloaded to play it?
This one.
So it's fully downloaded on your system, but you need to keep the thing that let you download it to keep playing it?
Like, you can share digital games. Wow, it's like a physical game, except there's nothing in this. That is the scenario that
Oh my fucking god.
The scenario that Nintendo has given themselves and developers the option to have control over the license of not
Jesus
Christ physical games too. Truly incredible. Nothing is possible.
Yeah.
That's wow. But make sure you
That is fucking shameless.
no longer
Innovation, right.
the States too. Stock up on those micro SD cards because Hogwarts Legacy has 25% your
Yeah.
question that. And how funny, take your new game phone and watch it slowly down with slow internet connection. Not everyone lives in some massive suburbia where high download
Right.
speeds are the norm. This has nothing on it but a license. And although this doesn't apply to all games, there are already many that are confirmed to be using it and expect more to be on the way.
They're probably getting more money doing it this way as well. Like, they're probably getting more money having Nintendo pay them to do this, if we're just being honest. Because, like, either that or, like, they're put into a corner.
About to say, yeah, this is the last one before I come off the stream. So, yeah, it's been good. It's been good streaming for y'all again.
There's nothing on them. Generation
Right.
now, if you buy a Switch 2,
But yeah, if you hear my background, I'm just hearing about Nintendo's nonsense going on at the moment.
Eventually makes it so that these cartridges are useless. You're fucked. Like, you won't ever be able to replay these games. If Nintendo decides to pull the plug on, like, server hosting, then your game is basically just a piece of plastic. There you go.
there's so many games you just can't play because you should have existed. This one's
That does not mean, brother, I will be getting off of Roblox. That means I would just stop streaming. I will still be on Roblox. I'll just be playing a different game.
I mean, that does look kind of...
Another generation where the triggers were just buttons. Mario Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion, both of which are being advertised. Pressing the trigger all the way and pressing the trigger a little is completely different. Does anyone communicate? Does anyone know? Basically, my fan Manuel I can go as far as to make games on touch time, but still not bother using the industry standard for your controller, even though the 20-year-old controller doesn't reproduce that. How about game upgrades? You guys like spending more money on fish to spaghetti sauce? This price, I don't even know. What if? Imagine this. All the poorly optimized Switch games that run at 30 FPS at best and 720p would be played normally without us making the effort to actually optimize the hardware they were originally developed for. And then we can charge you for it. Games will run at improved resolution and frame rate. You mean the resolution and frame rate they should be running at in the first place?
Exactly. Like, this is basically, if you look at Fortnite or Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch, the fact that it looks like a PSP game, and then adjusting it so that it no longer looks like a PSP game, like, and then saying that you've improved. It's like, yeah, you can improve it when it's garbage. Like, you can turn garbage into slightly less bearable garbage, and then that's like the word improvement there. The adjustment in quality is just making it so that it's normal. Like, the bar is so fucking low that doing anything makes it so that, you know, they get touted as like an improvement. It's not actually doing anything revolutionary. It certainly doesn't justify the price increase. Like, yeah, it's improved, but like, if this is an improvement, the price for the console should be the same, right? because you've just adjusted it so that it's modern, like the graphics are actually watchable.
Referred into properly optimizing them. I'd love to know what Black Magic was that made the 1,000-year all the 60 FPS of the game in 2004. But could be used 20 years later to make it
Yeah, it's just slightly more bearable garbage.
Maybe there just is no point in spending money on optimizing games when people will just buy them anyway. Then fine, the elephant $80 fucking for a video game. On no planet can you defend this. This has nothing to do with tariffs. You can come up with every excuse in the book. But on no planet...
You're also not paying tariffs for digital copies.
World Nintendo forced to charge you $80 for a digital copy, even to be $90 for a physical one, so they can keep their starving CEO's office for $1. That is fucking disgusting. You see it in Nintendo Switch Sports, you see it in Princess Peach Showdown, Mario and Luigi Bowser. You're seeing it in upcoming games like Donkey Kong Country, Solo Dodge Glad Living Free. This soulless pastel-y art style that looks like the standard for an iOS game in 2014. It has nothing to do with a vision or choice of direction. You can go for a cartoony or even cel-shaded aesthetic and still make it look good. You saw it on Wii U, you saw it on 3DS, you saw it literally everywhere. This is not visually impressive, and they expect you to pay $80 for it, and pay even more for physical, which is such a scummy...
This is, again, because they don't want you to win it, right?
way of forcing...
And it's funny because they'll show the price point for this being, oh, it's $79.99. So you're paying more money to go into the car and pick up a copy of something. I mean, it just does not. It's give it an inch, take a lot. Well, they're not even giving us an inch. Like, what's the inch that they're giving? If you're paying $150 for it, is that they're not getting it to us? If the console's $150 more for just slight hardware, then they're not giving us an inch. They're paying. This makes sense. And then if you look at especially them two. If you consider giving the inch like new games and stuff, again, it's just product. They're just making a product that they don't buy. It's probably just to kill off physical games where they don't do well. That could be true, but I don't understand why they would be in such a hurry to do that, especially when the console is going to underperform. Like, they must know that the projections are going to be, like, subpar, and so why would they want to kill off physical games as another revenue source for a console that's already going to underperform?
Players need to save money where they can.
Increasing prices, but like at the end of the day, a lot of it can just be summarized as just, and it just can. People can say tariffs, people can say inflation, and that does account for some of it. But even when you factor in all of those things, a game is not $8. New Mario Kart is not $8.
No money spent on producing, no money spent on shipping, and most important of all, no commission to any retailer. Every penny going directly to the biggest pieces of shit.
Literally, yeah. I mean, it's also
guys for $70 or $80.
It's insane.
It's
Mario Kart. At least the bundle is only $40. $70. That's good. That's fair.
Did this game come out almost 10 years ago? Tears of the Kingdom, $80. Kirby Godman, $80. Mario Party Jamboree, $80. I'd really love to know what makes Nintendo think Mario Party Jamboree should have valued by $20.
Yeah, I mean, I played Jamboree. Why is it more money from what I played? How does that make any sense at all?
I mean, it was 3 new shitty mini-games that utilized the new system.
Yeah, I mean, so that's again the same thing that they did with Super Mario World from the Wii U, where they put like a little bit more content at the bottom of the package, and then they decide that it's like worth the same as it was back in 2014, when it's not. This is even more shameless because it's not the same price. It's $20 more for what? What else?
Valued by $20 since it came out. All it needed was 3 new shitty.
Is that actually it?
The new system. Maybe when you're launching a cheap-looking Mario Party, 8 Pikmin, and 325 more games, people are actually developing new video games. This was the PlayStation first paid upgrade.
I mean, in 1995, Donkey Kong Country 2 was like spending $139 for a new copy today. The fact that they've been charging $60 for so long is actually incredible. I seriously want to slap people upside the head that make this stupid-ass argument. I mean, games have become cheaper.
And then I say,
yeah, it's insane. Anyway.
What kind of dumbass logic? I I certainly don't like paying for cheap-looking overpriced games. I don't like paying to play the same game again, this time with a rate. I need to charge anything for a tech demo because something that looks like this just costs too much money to develop. They should start taking donations because the morons preventing this could then just wire their paycheck directly to them instead of giving them the
What the heck?
And honestly, in today's economy, by the time you
Poor connection quality. What the heck? What's going on?
$50 USD, $500 for the Mario Kart level. Over in Japan, the base system without Mario Kart costs roughly $350 USD.
Well, guys, I've been looking about the industry early because our connection is getting poor for some reason. I don't know why.
Then you need to pump up the full
Because it says it's only showing, it's only using the mic.
Bearing the brunt of parents that they're already being billed.
That's weird.
Like, they're gonna have to pay these premiums.
Good night.
It's happening for Christmas. It's gonna be on the Christmas list, and it sucks. And it doesn't matter who you play it. It's just, this isn't acceptable. It's at 334 yen, multi-language system. What? Switch to Japan will have 2 different versions. One of them is $100 more.
Sure.